Sanibona, ngaphambi singene kwivideo namuhla, ngithi angithathe lethuba ngibonge i-support nothando enikhombise lona lingaphezu kokucabanga kwethu. Siyacela niqhubeke nisupporte njalo ngokubuka amavideo ethu, ungakhohlwa ukukhomenta, ushare, ulike. Siyafisa ukuzwa umbono wakho. Sicela ke singene kwivideo namuhla.
Ayikho indawo ekufanele kuqikelele ukuthi izinto zihamba kahle kuyo njengomasipala. Yingakho bebalulekile lolu khetho la ngonyaka ozayo lama-local government elections ngoba ilapho efuneka siphume khona sisave le South Africa yakithi ekhululekileyo kule bugebengu nakulezi gebengu zikakhongolose eziwuphathe for more than 30 years kodwa zahluleke ukusinaka thina. Ukuze kulunga ama-potholes funeka kube ama-local government omasipala ofuneka bathathe imali esuke iphuma ku-national iza kubo isetshenzwe leyo mali leyo ukuze wena uthole amanzi. Abantu aba-responsible for ukuthi amanzi aphume empompini yakho ngomasipala. So ukulunga komasipala kobe kusho ukulunga kwe-service delivery efuneka ifike ebantwini. I-corruption eningi nokudliwa kwamathenda okuningi okukhona kulapha komasipala. Noma bedla le phezulu kodwa abantu abadla ngamandla badla lapha komasipala. Njengoba ke namuhla i-portfolio committee beyihlangene kukhulunywa kwi-cooperative governance and traditional affairs, bekukhulunywa ngomasipala behlukahlukeneyo. Lana ke bekukhulunywa no-Premier wase-Gauteng ebambisene nethimba lakhe lonke. Kuboniswana ukuthi kungenziwa njani, iziphi izinto ezingenziwa ukunqanda yonke le nkinga ekhona ngoba ukulunga kwalo masipala kuzobe kusho ukuthi i-service delivery sizoba khona. Issue yama-illegal immigrants, issue yokuthi abantu babe namanzi, issue yama-potholes, issue yokungasebenzi kwama-traffic light, issue yogesi, zonke lezi zinto uma kungalunga omasipala zizolunga. So ngizocaphuna-ke ivideo uzwe ukuthi kuthiweni ephalamende. Kubalulekile ukuthi siyilethe le video ngoba lama-political parties esiwavotela asirepresentayo funa siweze ukuthi athini ephalamende, akhuluma yona nalento abathembisa ukuthi basimele ngayo. Kufanele sizwe ukuze sikwazi ukubona ukuthi hayi le political party impela isimele. Cela uzwe la.
The second area, Chair, and we are raising it not in a manner that is negative, but is to either manage it so that it does not affect the finances of our municipalities and services that we are rendering in our province, is the sudden surge of undocumented foreign citizens and across all levels, not only those that are coming from our continent, but those that are coming even from Europe. These numbers are too much, and we don't have a mechanism and a format of managing how to give them services, but most importantly, how to recoup resources that are needed for government to function. With these numbers, we are seeing an unprecedented numbers of informal settlement, hijacking of buildings, and non-payment of services, including illegal connections of some of our key services, in particular, energy and water. This have a direct bearing on the resources of our municipalities. Chair, a disaster that we have identified and we've requested national government to assist us is unfolding. And if we don't respond collectively as government, a major disaster is about to happen. And all of us will be pointing fingers when this matter needs to be attended as soon as possible.
Chair, to the Premier, I want to echo my colleagues' sentiments here, especially regarding the issue of officials. Your officials are corrupt, Premier. I don't know how you're going to go about looking at fixing that because most of them are in the same political parties we come from. Most of them are our friends. So I'm not sure what needs to be done there to capacitate you as the leadership of the province to look at prosecuting literally your own people. I don't know how that happens. Again, through you, Chair, to the Premier, Johannesburg is a disaster. Johannesburg CBD. There are places in Johannesburg CBD that when you go through them, they don't look like you're in a South African city. Let alone a city like Johannesburg. It looks like you're in some foreign country somewhere else, but they don't look like Johannesburg. This issue that you spoke about earlier of illegal foreigners of all races, I'm not sure how or what intervention is needed there, or I would just like to know your plan in addressing that, because we cannot have a city of Johannesburg looking the way it does. The dilapidated infrastructure, we've got the Lillian Ngoyi Street gas explosion that happened over 2 years ago. It's only going to be opened, I think it's scheduled for the 12th of September. For an explosion that happened on a street that is less than, I think that thing is less than like 1 kilometer, 2 years to fix. That's too long.
Thank you.
Premier. Thank you, Chair.
I think we must first accept that South Africa should be for South Africans. It should prioritize this. It should prioritize South Africans. I think it's an undeniable fact that, particularly in your province, your cities have been taken over, especially the informal economy and the SME space have been taken over by undocumented foreign nationals and those that are documented. I just want to check, Premier, because I would expect that your municipalities would have bylaws and regulations that would most probably, in line with our acts, prohibit the issuing of business licenses to these foreign nationals. How does this thing happen? How do you end up having a Joburg where it's a playground for foreign nationals? Do these people have business licenses? I just want to check your plans around that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm glad, Premier, you are embracing the capacitation of a state, because the only way out of corruption is to insource all the services, and the state must then perform its own tasks. I have issues, MEC, of finance, especially where invoices don't get paid. How are you monitoring that? Because in that space, there's too much corruption where people are invoicing and they are asked to compensate those that are responsible for invoicing. And to ensure that invoices are paid within the 30-day period, what are the measures that you have in place in order to monitor that space and it doesn't become corrupt to a point where service providers now must beg for the invoices to be paid and the services to get to the people? The non-compliance of the fruitless and wasteful expenditure is a painful thing. I'm looking at Johannesburg now, and rightfully so, you are embracing the fact that they have reduced their fruitless and wasteful expenditure. But my worry is if they move from 436 million of 2022-2023 to 81 million this year, what happened to 330 million? How did we resolve that? Because they might have moved, but how did we deal with that expenditure which was incurred in the previous year? What are the consequences there, and who are the people that have been dealt with in terms of that? Controls and action plans. Tshwane and Johannesburg, they come up throughout, Premier. There's lack of leadership, there's lack of governance, there's lack of coordination. That lack of coordination, also MEC of Kochta, the integrated planning between the municipalities, in particular Johannesburg, and the entities is lacking, is very weak, to such an extent that even the recommendations and remedial actions that were made by the public protector regards the housing of people of Alexander and provision of shelter, proper shelter, water, and basic services for the people of Alexander is still not been realized. Yet we get entities that are responsible for provision of shelter that are underspending simply because there is no coordination between the leadership of the municipality and the entity. So how do we deal with that space? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair, and greetings, everyone. 3 questions. One, I would like to get your take, Premier, on the division of revenue within or amongst the municipalities and within the municipalities. This is premised on the fact that from one municipality, if you move from an urban area or a township to a suburb, you swear that you are in different areas. So there is maintenance and development and progress in more modern areas or white-dominated areas in some instances versus townships where there is nothing maintained and very less happening. So how is that? What is your view around that? That's number. Number 2, it relates to the province's appetite for consequence management. You spoke about whistleblowers getting killed and all of that. What mechanism, what is the appetite of municipalities to ensure that the cases are brought to conclusion? Because if, for example, if there's a whistleblower and you take statements speedily and all of that, anyone attempting or wishing to assassinate will know that the case will still go on. So, because the idea is to always eliminate evidence. So what is the appetite of the province around that? The last question relates to the dialectical relationship between the improvement in the audit outcomes versus service delivery. So as we compliment municipalities for improving on the outcomes, on the audit outcomes, what do we view as a relationship between that and the lives of our people on the ground? Thank you.
Let's offer the opportunity to the Premier and the MECs. Let's not repeat, let's just deal with one and then whatever is not dealt with goes to the other. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. We'll cooperate, Chair. Let me start with the issue of our officials. I don't want to isolate them. We are now embarking on a process of meeting with service providers as well. Because for them to be corrupt, it means there's someone who's providing that kind of. And we're also in the process of meeting with some business associations to assist us. We'll be launching an anti-corruption campaign as a province in all our facilities in the next few days to demonstrate that we've reached a stage where this form of conduct is completely unacceptable in government. So I take your point, and I really support your view of the level of corruption. We have established a Johannesburg revitalization team that is led by MEC Mamabulu. And the president came here, and there's a working group that has been assigned the task to assist us to revitalize Johannesburg. We are also in the process as government to invest in what we call a government precinct to change the look and feel of Johannesburg. So I share your frustration. The Johannesburg that we have, we can't compete with Dubai, Paris, New York with it. We have to overhaul it. And at this present moment, I will only say to you, watch this space. About illegal people, their licenses, watch this space. You will see what we intend to do, and you will not regret. Unfortunately, I was not invited at the Lillian Ngoyi Street unveiling, but the municipalities, I think the executive mayor will explain why it took long and how it is. So I think let's allow that. Indeed, South Africa belongs to all of us. We have to protect it. And then the most, we have to ensure that it benefits our people. But we need assistance of government, especially national parliament. That the process that was started, I think, by former Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, on the repositioning and repackaging of the visa regime and permit regime in our country, it's long overdue. It can't be delayed anymore, because this is creating the challenge that we have now. And I think we need, and I'm glad that we're parliamentarians, so you'll need to ensure that that process is not stalled, because there is a new minister that has replaced the old minister. We've gone through public participation. We've made I don't know if I said something that Chair. So
Premier, you must ignore, but if there's an outrageous conduct, we would want to urge the members to remember that they are in Parliament, they use the same rules, and we shouldn't have any interruption. If people are chatting on the side, it should just not drown the speaker, but direct your comments to the chair and ignore everyone else. Thank you.
So, Chair, I'm saying that there was a public participation on this. Government were requested to make presentations, and we've done that. And we can't have, because we are suffering as a province by the economic up of the country, and majority of people that are here, we need to have a way and a format of handling them, attending to their needs, and rendering government services. And we can't do so when there is this huge loophole, because there have been changes in national government, and it will affect all the things that it has affected us already. I agree on the capacity of the state fully. If I had my wishes, this tendering system has caused serious problems. I said yesterday that we are sitting on incomplete infrastructure valued around 13 billion, because a contractor that has not concluded either a school or clinic is also appointed to do something somewhere. So we just have to build the capacity of the state, so that because even themselves contractors, if you award a contract to this one take you to court. You spend more time in court arguing who to give, and at the same time service delivery suffers. So we just need to ensure that we deal with these issues. I would leave the payment of invoices and fruitless and wasteful expenditure to the experts. Well, the division of revenue, and that is why in our opening remarks we're emphasizing the general overhaul of the funding model of municipalities. We have the strong view in Gauteng that the two districts, and that the two districts that are going through difficulties, Sidibeng and Western, if we can convert those two districts to be metros and have the entire province being a metro province of 5 metros, we really believe the limitation and challenges that we have now of the areas that we're identifying will be eliminated. It's quite clear that if you can't broaden the revenue base of some of the municipalities, you're not going to succeed. It's only now that Morafong is pushing very hard in the entire Western on mining, or mines in those areas, to also contribute in the revenue base of that municipality. So I share your frustration on that, and I really believe that a form of new municipalities will assist us, so that the resources that are divided from national fiscus to municipalities cannot just come here when they cannot service our people. So I agree with you on that. Well, I think Ekurhuleni is here. It's a good example of consequence management. They lost 2.4 billion within their revenue base. They've identified who did this, and they took action. And that's what we're saying municipalities must do. If there are people that are conniving with other people to affect the finances of municipalities, consequence management must be. well, allow me to differ with you that sometimes I know people who criticize when audit outcomes are bad. People bash and say, no, your audit outcomes are bad. When you improve audit outcomes, they say, no, but it's audit outcomes, but service delivery on the ground does not work. I think audit outcomes are the foundation of good governance. If you start there, it will then assist you to then deal with service delivery. But if you're going to have fruitless expenditure, you're going to have irregular expenditure, you are going to have all these kind of problems because you want to say we are pushing service delivery. I really believe that we are missing the point. So our argument is very simple. Do good, account on what we've allocated to you so that we can advance service delivery in our communities. Let me leave other questions that I might not have responded to other MEC.
Thank you very much, Premier. Chair, in the provincial government, honorable member, there is no entity, at least according to my knowledge of the provincial government, that gives licenses to illegal foreigners. And I can say without any fear of contradiction. But it doesn't mean that there are no illegal foreigners who are trading on the streets and in the spaza shops, and they're doing it illegally. And that's why we are working with the police to close them down and make sure that the laws of this land are adhered to. The Gauteng provincial government pays our invoices within 30 days, and we went further to commit to pay within 15 days. However, we only have one department which has got big problems, which are a bit complex. They are structural, systematic, they are historic and all that. That's the Department of Health, because they also have a problem of accruals and all that. But it's a story for another day. We can do this. But with all the departments, I can say without any fear of contradiction, we're paying within 30 days. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that we have an electronic system of payment. So our service providers are able to upload their invoices onto the system. We are improving it so that the submission of invoices must eliminate human interaction and interference to deal with that issue of corruption. As I've said, Honorable Chair, we are serious about the issue of corruption, dealing with it, and that's why in all the systems that we're putting in place, we are deliberate and making sure that we fight corruption. So this issue of invoicing is one of those, and we are aware that you've got people who want to be given bribes. And in fact, one of the things that we want to do, which we're discussing with the Premier, is have that campaign on fighting bribes and corruption and all that, but also identify all the different areas that people are involved in bribing and all that, and have a response on each one of them. Invoicing is one of those, and we are paying within 30 days. In fact, on Monday, as I've said, we are releasing our audit outcomes, which is what the AG says about us as the provincial government. So it's not ourselves assessing ourselves, it's the AG, including on performance management. And then the issues of controls and leadership in municipalities, regular and all that. As the provincial government, I think there has to be an appreciation that we are guided by the Constitution. And Section 1.4 of the Constitution encourages us to provide support to the municipalities. And that's why when I spoke earlier on, I indicated measures that we are taking to support, not to take over and run municipalities, because municipalities have got their leadership and they must take responsibility and run those municipalities. And of course, where they are not doing it,
the constitution, the same constitution, obliges us to intervene. So in the last 2 years, we had intervened in about 3 municipalities, Mfuleni, Merafong, and the West Rand district, to put a financial recovery plan. And we are glad that one of them, West Rand district, has actually graduated and in fact went to even get a clean audit. So we're left with 2 now, which we are doing that. So we will continue doing that and working with all the municipalities. Yeah, I think the other areas, the issue of audit and service delivery, I think they are equally important. None is less or more important, and that's the message that we're spreading. Thank you.
Chair, just one issue about particularly integrated planning, budgeting and implementation, also the district development model principle. So what we are trying to do with our IGR system, integration, the one that the Premier has talked about, signing an MOU with all municipalities to work together on fighting crime, which we have just launched in the city of Joburg and have covered all the municipalities. It's a good practice and example precisely of integrated service delivery and working together. Our approach to solving the G13+1 Friday campaign, it's also trying to bring together the 3 spheres of government to attend to issues together. So we are trying to promote that. Has it given us impact? Not yet. We just started with some of these things and we're trying to pull them together, but it's what we are focusing on. Thanks, Chair.
Asibambe le video uzwile konke okuhleliwe. So njengoba uzwileke ngicela ukuze ukuphawula kwakho ukuthi wena ubona kanjani. Angizukubeka manje okwami ukucabanga. Cela nje ukugodla noma yini engicabangayo. Kodwa uma ngizwa indlela abakhuluma ngayo liyabuya ithemba lokuthi kungenzeka siyibone iy'nguquko zenzeka, ikakhulukazi la eGauteng uma bezokwenza indlela abasho ngayo. Into eyinkinga nje kakhulu kuganga labantu ofuneka bavikele ama-resources. Uyabona uma ngabe ubamba amaphoyisa kuganga ngisho amaphoyisa, iyona nkinga esinayo nje la kule South Africa yethu ekhululekileyo. Kodwa ukuze ukuthi kunemizamo eyenzakalayo, ngizwile nephuzu abalireyizile ukuthi yiphi imizamo ezokwenziwa ukuvikela ama-whistleblowers. Because ama-whistleblowers bayabulawa, baphelelwa umsebenzi. Uma kwenzekile waphila, bakwazi ukumvala angaphinde athole umsebenzi, angaphinde athole umsebenzi ndawo. Inkinga nje esinayo la. Futhi uyabona ukuthi uma ungekho corrupt ufana nomuntu ongekho sesitayileni. So uma ngabe bekhombisa ukuthi kunezinto abazenzayo, kuyathokozisa, kuyalibuyisa ithemba kakhulu. Ngoba phela akufanelanga sigxeke nala ekungafanele khona. Uma kukhona okungcono esibona bekwenza, kufanele sikuncome. So lezi zinto abathi bazozenza, sinethemba lokuthi bazozenza ukuze sizobancoma ngokwenza kwabo. Ngicela ukuphawula kwakho, ngizwe ukuthi wena uthini kulokho okubekwayo. Ubona kuzosiza noma kungeke kuze kusize. Futhi uma uthi ngeke kuze kusize isizathu salokho yini. Kunephuzu elilokhu raise-wa i-EFF, ingakho usisi lo ethi uyabonga yokuthi akusetshenziswe i-state, the state capacity akusetshenziswe sona ukuze kuzonqandeka lento yamathenda. Akwenziwe le program esho uPanyeza Lusufi njengoba esho naye ukuthi bakulezo nhlelo lezo kuyajabulisa ngoba kuzovula amathuba emisebenzi, kunqamlele ubugebengu obenzakalayo. Noma sazi-ke ukuthi imisebenzi eminingi izogcina itholwa ama-comrade. Kodwa uma isimo simanejeke kahle, izogcina iguquka leyo nto leyo, kuzogcina iqashwa wonke umuntu. Mina nawe asidibane kwividiyo elandelayo. Ungasisapotha kusidonate-ela, ungasisapotha ngokujoyina i-membership. Ikhona i-account kwi-comment epheniwe. Ngiyabonga.